Good morning, folks. This is Deb Delapiana. I hadn't planned on making a video this morning. I'm off to a bit of a late start. I got to get my ass to work because, as you know, the goal here in the United States is to make sure people work as long as they can in life. And as I'm approaching my 69th year, I need to make sure that I'm working because that'll make the Republicans comfortable that way. We read earlier on in the year, and I made a video earlier on in the year about how Ron Johnson wants to coax people 70 years old and older to come out of retirement to help bolster the economy. So God help us, I really do need to do my part, but I'm here only to give you a lesson in what we call political expediency. We have the midterms coming up, and the GOP is going to say whatever it has to say to get its ass elected. That's the way they are. Okay. Anybody still trusting Kevin McCarthy at this stage of the game has a serious mental cognitive disorder and needs to seek some kind of treatment. Either that or they just, totally lost in the ozone. I don't know how to describe it. But let's talk about this lesson in political expediency, because this is what I see this morning as I'm having my coffee. Hang on here. It's a coming. McCarthy tamps down concerns over linking Social Security, Medicare reforms to the debt ceiling. So as I reported yesterday, Senior McCarthy has threatened to break the debt ceiling and cause financial ruin in the United States if the GOP doesn't stamp its feet and get its cuts. So he's trying to make everybody believe that we don't have to worry about Social Security, just like we didn't have to worry about Roe v. Wade. Remember that? Remember all those judges that Bitch McConman and the Orange Jackaloon put in at the end of their term that promised that it was 50 years of precedent and they would all follow precedent. Every fucking one of them lied under oath. So why would you believe anything that the GOP tells you? That is beyond me, because here's what we have had repeatedly from Ron Johnson. He's suggesting ending Medicare, Social Security as mandatory spending programs. In other words, we bring them up every year and decide whether or not to fund them so that millions of seniors who have paid into this fucking system so that they can have some comfort in their older years can wait year upon year upon year to figure out if they're going to live in the fucking streets, live in a fucking shelter, or be able to stay in their elderly housing and still feed themselves. This is not a fucking joke, folks. This is the real world here in America, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm living it, all right? This is what I live on. Got a clue here? I'm not the only person. In fact, the vast majority of Americans live in this because why? Because they've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes to this government so that they can have this at the end of their fucking lives. Okay? This is not an entitlement. What these fuckers get is an entitlement. These sons of bitches get their health care and their salary on the backs of the American people. And here they are talking about cutting Medicare and Social Security. He's not the only one. There's Rick Scott, the man who presided over the hugest Medicare fraud in its history at that time, when he was the CEO of a medical company. They allowed him to become a fucking public servant. He's now talking about having to re-ante it every year. This is absurd. No other GOP administration has dared to touch this, and no GOP administration would get away with even going this far had we not had the Orange Jackaloon turn everybody into a bunch of drooling fucking nitwits. Steve Scalise has acknowledged the GOP plan to change Social Security and Medicare. How many more people do you need? Remember Kevin McCarthy, who stood at a podium and trashed Donald Trump over the J6 insurrection on the day of the insurrection, who then became the ultimate Trump bootlicker, did not vote for his impeachment, and certainly helped him circle the wagons. He's a total fucking lying sack of shit. Anybody believe in him is as dumb as a stump. Sorry, folks. Got to call him like I see him. And after the election, McCarthy plans to push the GOP economic hostage crisis by threatening the Biden administration with destroying the American economy if they don't get the cuts they want. You know, because he says we can't keep on going on spending like this, but he did not worry. He did not worry about Trump's tax cuts to the fucking billionaires, which added 7 trillion. I'm going to spell that for you. TRILLION, $7 trillion to the deficit. But we don't want to help the American people. We don't want to add even one more dollar to the deficit on the behalf of us, the people who pay their fucking way. Get a clue here, folks. Because the GOP wants to push to extend Trump's tax cuts after the midterm elections because, oh my God, they have done so much to improve the American economy, haven't they? You know what? Y'all better wake up. Because what's going on here with inflation, it's going on a worldwide basis. It's not in Joe Biden's total control, okay? He has done everything he can to help out here. He has further lowered gas prices. He's trying to further lower gas prices, which, by the way, I'm paying now what I paid before this all started, okay? I'm back down to where I was. But he's trying to help it further by opening up the reserves. You know what? He's doing everything he can. This is a worldwide crisis that has been caused by a 2-year pandemic. It has been caused by a shortage in the supply chain, and it has been caused by the fucking Russian war on the Ukraine, which, by the way, I hate to tell you this, Vladimir Putin is, honest to God, the GOP's best friend. There isn't one GOP member out there who isn't supporting Vladimir Putin in this. What does that tell you? If that doesn't tell you something, I can't help you anymore. I got to go. I'll talk to y'all later.